Hey, what's up, Internet? It's Dan Sterry again, Internet's coolest record collector here with the hair of the dog. I wasn't feeling well last night, so drank some chocolate milk, felt even worse. So here I am. Awesome. So today we have a little piece about pleasant surprises. I guess we have some records that I was pleasantly surprised by. Some records I found and I didn't really know anything about. Grabbed up anyway because I had a gut feeling about them and turned out awesome. Okay, sick. First, we've got Southeast Hardcore Fuck Yeah. Interesting record, awesome record, featuring pretty much the worst map I've ever seen. If you take a look at this, we've got all the bands on the EP from Columbia, South Carolina, and Gainesville, Miami, Tampa, Florida. But as you can see, South Carolina is bordering Florida here. Real talk, hilarious. Okay. The Southeast Hardcore Fuck Yeah. I saw it at a record store. It was like $2, I think, $1.49 something. And I was like, hey, why not? 90s hardcore. Could be great, could be horrible, we'll see. Turns out it's pretty cool. It's a compilation of all these old like power violence, like fastcore, like youth crew type, hardcore songs from all these like, really, really obscure southeastern hardcore bands, power violence bands, etc., etc. Very cool record, and every band on there is pretty cool. My favorites being Palatka and Asshole Parade. As funny as the one band's name is, they're actually pretty sick. Our next record is Against Me, Disco Before the Breakdown. I had been into Against Me for a while, but I hadn't bought any of their vinyl. I had just, I had their one record with the cat on it on my iPod. I hadn't really explored more than that. And then I found that record at a record store, and I grabbed it up, and it's just like one of the most amazing listens I've ever heard. It's just so like visceral, and the guitar tone and the bass tone, the drums, like while being really like shoddily recorded and like underproduced, still have this like really like intimate, loud sort of like visceral vibe to them, and it's just an incredible record all the way through. There's not one song on there that I don't just fucking love and doesn't like bring me to tears every time I hear it. So that's awesome. Love that record. Classic, Against Me, Disco Before the Breakdown. Next we have Trust. They're like a synth pop dark wave band from I think Toronto, Ontario. This record, their self-titled debut record, came out in I think 2010 or 2011. I don't even remember. But I grabbed it at Shady Dog Records because I saw this weird fucking cover of this woman, or this man dressed like a woman. It's actually very hard to tell. And it's like, that's fucking weird. And then there's the back cover, which is like someone bent over wearing this like velvet dress. Super weird packaging. There's like nothing on the inside except for like some pictures of shadows. Very weird, packaging, very weird style, but it's actually an amazing record. Very like chilling, very sad and dark, like really haunting synth licks, like, and just driving beats. It's like it's like not, it doesn't feel like a pop record, but it is most definitely a pop record. Just an incredible listen if you are into, new wave, synthwave, dark, electronic music. It's right up your alley. Fantastic record. Definitely recommend it. Next we have Bright Eyes, Digital Ash and a Digital Urn. The thing about Bright Eyes was it's another band that I knew about, but I hadn't heard much of their music when I bought the record. And this one really, changed my perspective on Conor Oberst, because it was really him, like, kicking down walls. Like, Conor Oberst is a singer-songwriter, folk musician from Omaha, Nebraska. He's in Bright Eyes, he's in Desaparecidos, that, pop-punk band. He's got his own solo work that he's done consistently since he was, like, 16 or something. He was in some band called, like, Venus Ranger or something. And he basically sticks to, like, kind of Neil Young vibey, like, folk rock, for the most part, throughout his catalog, except for this record. This is another really dark, like, experimental pop record. It's really sad, and there's a lot of polyrhythms. He has 2 drummers on it. He has a lot of electronic bass. He's got he plays a baritone guitar for most of it. There's, like, a lot of synths, a lot of sampling, a lot of sampled beats. It's a very cool record. It's actually my favorite of his, and it, like, changed my whole perspective on him. Like, he's just a brilliant musician, and I'll always, like him a lot. Okay, cool. Next we have the Stomach Mouths, a record I just bought because this band's name is so fucking ridiculous. Stomach Mouths, and they're this garage punk band from Stockholm, Sweden, and this record came out in 1986, and it was another record that I just bought because I was like, how can you turn down a band called the Stomach Mouths? And I put it on, and it's actually, like, pretty gritty garage punk. The only real complaint about it I have is that the organ, they have, like, an electric organ player on it, and the organ gets very, very tiring as the record progresses. But the guitar tone is great, the songs are great. There's a couple of covers and, like, 12 original songs, which they don't hesitate to point out in their liner notes. They talk about how, said something about how they slid ashore out of the dense Cro-Magnon rock and roll soup, teens of all ages the planet over. They have this really weird, long, sort of, like, spiel written on the side of the record here. It's actually pretty funny. But it's a great record. The only thing I have to say that's, not entirely positive about it is that there's this really tiresome organ just all throughout this thing. I mean, sometimes it adds a really cool texture to the recording, to the songs, but, overall it gets a little, exhausting. Okay, cool. Awesome. Next we have Merle Haggard, 11 Winners. This was actually the record that got me into country. It was $1. I got it for $1 at some discount record place, and it's just a really, like, if you really want an introduction into, like, outlaw country, like the Johnny Paychecks and the Willie Nelsons, the Merle Haggards, all those cool guys. Some of Johnny Cash's stuff, I guess, is outlaw country too. I'm not really sure what to put him in, though, because people will debate you until the cows come home about, where Johnny Cash falls in music. It's a cool record. Every song on here, he's got this great guitar lick going. He's a fantastic player. He's one of the better guitarists I've heard. And he's a great lyricist, too, and he's very, like, dark and very funny at the same time, while simultaneously, like, making a really hard-driving, like, rock song, which is very cool. So yeah, Merle Haggard, 11 Winners, another great record. Next we have I Eat Kids, another songs for rebellious children by Barry Lewis, Polisar, autographed. I found this in a record store I think in Brooklyn. I don't even remember. I was up there at one point during the summer and I grabbed it. But it was one of those records where I was like, I heard that one song that was on the Juno soundtrack that was a cover of his, or was his song or something. And it was cool. It was a nice song. It made me happy, so I bought the record, and it's like a really funny record. Like, he has a song about a monster that eats children, and he's like, if you don't eat your vegetables, I'll eat you. There's like a song about a double jointed dinosaur, about midnight snacks. Like it's just a funny record. Like even for a kid's record, it like really held my attention. And he's a really solid songwriter. And I heard a couple of days ago when I was doing research for this that he's actually also a children's book author, which is very cool. So yeah, number 2 punk compilation on this thing, or hardcore compilation, whatever. Killed by Finnish Hardcore. It's got this guy choking this other guy on the cover. Very funny. This is a solid, it's like a D-beat kind of crust sort of, and a little bit of thrashcore compilation with all these bands whose like names I cannot pronounce for the life of me. I'm not even gonna attempt it, but some wild names there. But it's a really solid record. Every band on there is really cool. They just kind of slam all over the place. Just, it's just driving. It's, not underproduced, but it's got a very, like, low grade sort of recording quality to it, which, is, I think, part of the appeal. Next we've got Nails, Abandon All Life. I actually hadn't heard of Nails. Now they're one of my favorite bands out there. Currently, I was going to see them the other night, but I was afraid for my life, and I think one of my friends actually got his teeth knocked out at that show, so I'm a little glad I didn't go. But anyway, Nails is they're like a hardcore power violence band from Oxnard, California, I think, and I hadn't heard of this band when I bought this record. This is one of the most brutal records I own. So heavy, so savage, so just horrible, like gut-wrenching, heavy, hardcore music. The guitar tone is disgusting, like really thick, grimy, just, it's tuned down. He's got this incredible rig. It's so loud, so fast. The drummer is incredible, the bassist is incredible, and the vocalists just trade between like screams and these guttural, just like sort of things, and it's unreal. Love Nails, awesome band, incredible, cool. Next is Mandrill-Mandrilland. Mandrill is a jazz funk band from I think they're from Brooklyn, New York, from the mid to late 70s, early 80s, and this is just one of those records that, like, it was another one where it's like a totally wild cover. There's like a baboon wearing a shirt on it or something. So I bought it and I put it on with one of my friends, and it was like one of the greatest records. Like, it was one of my favorite records for a very long time. I think it still is. It's very funky, very heavy. It's got like all these crazy horn sections in there. It's like very dissonant, very like free jazz kind of. And it's just a really fun, like, danceable funk record, while at the same time, like, being, like, totally out there. It's an incredible record. Very cool. Awesome. We've got more Gregory, by Gregory Isaacs. I had no idea who Gregory Isaacs was when I bought this record. Now I know he's, like, one of the legends of reggae, one of the founding fathers of dub reggae. I bought the record, I'm not gonna lie. It's like he looks completely out of it. He's just done on this album. But this is such a great record. Such a chill, like, just, laid back sort of, reggae record. There's a lot of echoes on there. The bass is pretty cool. It's chill. It just runs through itself. It's an easy listen. It's great. It's one of my favorites as far as my reggae records go. I only have like 6 or 7 reggae records, which I need to get more of, but as far as that goes, it's one of the better ones. So yeah, Gregory Isaacs, more Gregory. And lastly, I've got the Watts Prophets, Rapping Black in a White World. So the Watts Prophets, it's actually a really interesting story. They formed in like 69, I think, in like Oakland, or one of the suburbs of Oakland, Watts, California. And they were very tightly affiliated with the Black Panthers. So they put out this record in 1971. It's like totally ahead of their time. Like it's like beat poetry and like a cappella rap music, which I'd never even heard of before I listened to this record. And it's like a very cool, like, yeah, okay, it fires me up every time I hear it. It's such a cool record. And if you get the chance to listen to Watts Prophets, I think this is the best record to do, because I've heard some of their other stuff and it's a little iffy. Like it gets less, political and less activist and more like preachy and like, get back to your roots. Don't do this instead, blah blah blah. And it's I don't want people to tell me what to do. But this record here, it's very cool, very fun listen. As far as instrumentation goes, there's very little to no instrumentation on this record. It's just either people talking or like people clapping or people speaking or yelling or reciting poetry. It's actually an awesome record, very fun. So yeah, the Watts Prophets, Rapping Black and White World, and that's it. If you have anything to say, say it down in the comments down there, I guess. Thanks for watching. Dan Sterry again, the internet's coolest record collector. Very cool.